The ward had 3 rooms. Everyone agreed on that. The floor plan said 3. The fire map said 3. The nurses said 3. I cleaned that ward for 2 years, and I will tell you with my whole chest that there were 4. And I want you to remember that. Nobody argued with me about the 4th one. They just stopped looking at me when I brought it up. I took the overnight cleaning contract at a regional hospital the autumn I turned 41. 10 at night until 6 in the morning. Empty corridors, empty cafeteria, a building the size of a town with maybe 40 people awake in it. They put me on the 4th floor, the long stay ward. Patients who were not getting better fast and were not getting worse fast and mostly just needed quiet and time. It was the easiest floor in the hospital to clean. Nobody walked it at night. Nothing was ever spilled. My supervisor told me the 4th floor overnight had been open a long while. Cleaners would take it, work a few weeks, and then ask for the surgical floors instead, where the work was harder and the nights were longer. He said it like it was a joke about people not knowing what was good for them. He smiled when he said it. But the smile finished before his eyes did. I needed the steady hours, and I liked working where nobody talked to me, so I said I would take the 4th floor. He looked relieved, in a way I noticed, and then decided not to think about. The work was simple. Mop the corridor, wipe the rails, empty the bins, clean any room a nurse flagged on the board. Sign the floor sheet at the end of the shift. That was all. I remember thinking it was the calmest job I had ever been handed. For the first 3 weeks, the job was exactly what I had been promised. Quiet. I learned the ward the way you learn a new house. I knew which wheel on the cart dragged. I knew the corridor took 11 minutes to mop end to end if I did it properly. I knew the 3rd room from the elevator had a tap that ticked. There were 3 patient rooms. I counted them every night without meaning to, the way you count stairs. Room 1 near the elevator. Room 2 in the middle. Room 3 at the far end. Past room 3, the corridor simply stopped at a blank wall with a fire extinguisher on it. I had mopped right up to that wall 100 times. The night nurse sat at the station between rooms 1 and 2. Her name was on a little sliding plate. I will not give it. She was kind in the brisk way of people who have done a hard job for a long time. She kept a sheet on a clipboard, the patient count for the floor. 3 rooms, 3 numbers. I saw her write it every night. By the end of the 3rd week, I could have cleaned that floor with my eyes shut. And there were nights I nearly did. Then came the 4th week. It was a Wednesday. Just after 2 in the morning. I was mopping toward the far end of the corridor, the way I did every night. Room 3 on my left, then the last stretch of floor, then the blank wall with the extinguisher. Except that night, the corridor did not stop at the extinguisher. There was a door past room 3. On the same wall, the same height, the same dull steel handle. A small wired glass window set into it. Dark. A little frame beside it for a room number, the way every door had. And in that frame, in the same printed font as the others, it said 4. I stood there with a mop in my hand. I had cleaned that wall every night for 3 weeks. There had been an extinguisher and nothing else. Now there was a door, and the extinguisher was further along, past it, exactly where a 4th door would have pushed it. I want to be honest about what I did. I did not open it. I told myself the simple things first. A storeroom, a door that was always there and I had simply somehow never registered. People miss things. People walk past things for years. So I finished the corridor. I did not mop in front of room 4. I stepped around that stretch of floor. And at the end of my shift, I went to the nurse's station and I looked at the clipboard while she was on the phone. The patient count for the floor that night said 4. 3 rooms. And the number 4. After that night, I started keeping my own number. Not on the official sheet. On a folded card in my breast pocket in pencil. Every night I wrote 2 things. How many rooms I could see on the corridor. And what number the nurse had written on her clipboard. Her count and my count side by side. For 4 nights they did not match, and that was almost a comfort. I saw 3 doors. The clipboard said 3. Room 4 was not there. The extinguisher was back against the blank wall. I started to feel foolish about the Wednesday. A bad night, a tired man miscounting his own corridor. On the 5th night, room 4 was back. Past room 3, steel handle, dark glass, the printed numero. And the clipboard at the station said 4. And here is the thing I made myself write down very clearly. Because writing it clearly was the only thing keeping me level. It was not that the count was sometimes wrong. It was that on every night the door was there, the clipboard said 4. And on every night the door was gone, the clipboard said 3. The nurse's number always told the truth. It just told the truth about a room I was not supposed to be able to see. So one night I asked her, plainly. I said, the count says 4, but I only cleaned 3 rooms. Where is the 4th patient? She did not look up from the clipboard. She said very evenly, room 4 is a long stay. You do not need to clean room 4. Room 4 cleans itself. And then she asked me, still not looking up, how long I had been on the floor that night. My plan was almost stupid in how simple it was. On the next night the door appeared. I would not step around it. I would walk up to room 4 and I would look through the little wired glass window. That was all. I would not open it. I would just look the way you are allowed to look through any door on a ward. And I would see a patient, an ordinary patient, and the whole thing would come apart into something plain. A witness almost. One honest look, so that whatever room 4 was, it would not only live in a pencil count in my pocket. It took 3 nights for the door to come back. The first 2 nights, 3 doors. Clipboard 3. As if the floor could tell I was waiting and was content to be patient. On the 3rd night I came up in the elevator and I knew before the doors opened. The corridor felt longer. I walked it, past room 1, past the station where the nurse sat writing, past room 2, past room 3. And there it was. Room 4. Steel handle. Dark glass. I set the mop against the wall. I walked the last few steps and I leaned in toward the little wired glass window to look inside. The window was dark, but it was not empty. There was a room behind it. A patient room, the same as the other 3. A bed against the far wall, a chair, a monitor on a stand, its screen the dim resting grey of a machine that is on but reading nothing. A privacy curtain, half drawn, and in the bed there was a shape. A person, lying still, a sheet drawn up to the chest. I could not see a face. The angle was wrong and the room was dark, but I could see the slow, even rise and fall of the sheet. Someone was in room 4, breathing, asleep. And then the shape in the bed, without the breathing changing, without any other part of it moving, turned its head on the pillow to face the door, to face the little window, to face me. I still could not see the features. The room was too dark for that, but I could feel the orientation of it. The way you can feel in a dark room that someone awake is looking at you. I stepped back from the glass. My shoulder hit the cart. And from down the corridor, the nurse said, without raising her voice, without standing up, "I told you, you do not need to clean room 4. I asked her, and my voice did not come out as steady as I wanted. I asked her who the patient in room 4 was. And she said the thing I have thought about every night since. She said, room 4 does not have one patient. Room 4 is where the count goes when the floor needs to hold someone that the floor is not finished with. You have been on this ward a long time. Look at your card. I did not look at the card right away. I finished the shift first. I mopped the rest of the corridor with my hands, not quite steady, and I signed the floor sheet and I rolled the elevator down and I sat in my car in the dark of the staff lot before I took the card out of my pocket. I have been writing 2 columns, my room count and the nurse's clipboard count. I had thought of them as 2 separate numbers, one mine, one hers. But the card had a third thing on it that I had written so automatically I had stopped seeing it. At the bottom of every night's entry, beside the date, I had written the answer to the question she asked me at the end of every shift. How long I had been on the floor. And every night, for weeks, I had written the same answer. 8 hours. Except the early cards did not say 8. I went back to the oldest entries, my first week. And in my own handwriting, the line that should have said 8 hours said something else. It said a number of years. And the number got smaller as the cards got newer. As if, night by night, I had been writing down not how long the shift was, but how long I had left. I told myself I had misread my own pencil. So I went back through every card, every single night, the same column. On the oldest card, the number was 11. On the card in my hand that night, it was 1. And I understood, sitting in that cold car, that the count on the nurse's clipboard had never been 3 or 4 patients. It had been 3 rooms and 1 of me. And room 4 was where the floor put the 4th thing it was counting when it was almost finished counting it down. I should have quit. I want that on the record. I knew I should have quit. And instead, I did the worst possible thing. I decided to clean room 4. Not because I was brave, because I had it backwards in my head. I thought if I treated room 4 like an ordinary room, mopped it, wiped it, made it normal with my own 2 hands, then it would become ordinary. Then I would not be a number on a clipboard. I would just be the man who cleaned the floor. So on the next night, the door appeared. I walked straight to it. The nurse did not look up from her station. She did not tell me to stop. She just went very still, the way a person goes still when they have already seen how a thing ends. I put my hand on the steel handle of room 4. It was warm. Not cold like every other door on that ward. Warm. The way a thing is warm when it has been used. I opened it. And inside was the room I had seen through the glass. The bed, the chair, the dim grey monitor, the half-drawn curtain. And the shape under the sheet breathing slow. I made myself walk to the bed. I made myself reach for the curtain to draw it back. I made myself look at the face of the patient in room 4. And the face on the pillow was mine. I worked one more night. My last one. I need to tell you how it ended. I had decided that on that final shift I would not look at room 4 at all. I would not count it. I would clean my 3 rooms, sign the sheet and ride the elevator down and never come back to the 4th floor. The night was quiet. I mopped the corridor, past room 1, past the station, past room 2, past room 3, and past room 3 the wall was blank. The extinguisher hung against bare plaster. There was no 4th door. I let myself believe it was over. I finished the floor. I walked to the nurse's station to sign the sheet, and the nurse slid the clipboard toward me, and for the first time in 2 years she looked straight at me while I read it. The patient count for the floor that night said 4. I told her there was no 4th door. I had just mopped that wall. I said, "The corridor only has 3 rooms tonight. Your count is wrong." And she shook her head slowly. And she said, "The door is not on the corridor tonight. The door does not need to be on the corridor anymore. You have been here long enough. The 4th room is the one you go home to." I drove home that morning, and my front door has a small steel handle and a number in a printed frame beside it. And I never noticed before that night that the number beside my own front door is 4. And the handle was warm. I do not clean the hospital anymore. I told the supervisor the 4th floor was open again. He did not sound surprised. He did not finish his laugh this time. He just wrote it down. So here is what I will leave you with. Somewhere there is still a long, quiet ward and a corridor that everyone agrees has 3 rooms, and a clipboard at a station with a number on it. And most nights that number will be 3. 3 is allowed. 3 is just the rooms. But if you are ever the person who walks that floor and one night the clipboard says 4, do not go looking for the 4th door. Do not put your hand on a warm handle. And whatever you do not draw back the curtain to see who the floor has been counting. Because the 4th room has been counting too. And it already knows the number it wrote beside your name. Sleep well.